It is night. Thousands of people stand silently, all looking in the same direction. Black uniforms, red flags, a sky filled with smoke. And then, a man steps onto the stage. The crowd raises their arms in unison. This was not just a political rally. It was a scene carefully designed to reshape the minds of millions. The question is, can a building, a uniform, or even a simple logo really turn people into obedient followers? If so, why did fascist governments understand this secret better than anyone else? The language of power. Most people believe that power comes only from guns, but history tells a different story. Sometimes, power is created by nothing more than an image. During the 1920s and 1930s, new authoritarian regimes were emerging across Europe. They did not merely build armies, they created an entire visual world. Every building, every poster, every banner, every uniform was designed for one purpose: to make people believe that the government was unstoppable. This was not merely art. It was a psychological weapon, architecture of fear. Now imagine this. You enter a city where every building is 10 times larger than you. Massive columns, towering ceilings, and vast open spaces, where every person feels incredibly small. This was no accident. Architects understood that the environment people live in can shape the way they think. That is why fascist governments constructed buildings that constantly reminded people that the state would always be greater than they were. The magic of the uniform. Now another question. Why does every authoritarian government create distinctive uniforms? The answer is not simply beauty. It is psychology. When thousands of people appear dressed exactly the same, their individual identity slowly begins to disappear. They no longer see themselves as individuals, but as part of a greater power. That is why the uniform was never just clothing. It was a tool for psychological transformation. But this was only the beginning. The real weapon was neither the buildings nor the uniforms. It was the extraordinary propaganda that convinced millions to doubt the truth, even when they were seeing it with their own eyes. Imagine living in a world where every wall carries the same message, every newspaper repeats the same story, every classroom teaches the same truth, and every voice that disagrees simply disappears. This was not coincidence. It was design, the art of propaganda. The greatest weapon of fascist governments was not the rifle, it was the message. They understood something that modern psychology would later confirm. People often believe what they see repeatedly. Posters filled city streets. Newspapers echoed identical headlines. Radio broadcasts carried carefully crafted speeches into millions of homes. Films presented leaders as larger than life. Every image, every slogan, every speech was designed to create the same emotional response: loyalty, pride, fear, and unquestioning obedience. The goal was never simply to inform people. It was to shape the way they perceived reality. Symbols that spoke without words. Why do powerful governments invest so much in symbols? Because symbols speak faster than words. A flag, an emblem, a salute, a carefully designed logo. These were not random decorations. They became visual shortcuts for identity and authority. The moment people saw them, they instantly connected them with strength, unity, and absolute power. Over time, the symbol became more powerful than the ideas behind it. People began responding emotionally before they even had time to think. That was the true genius of authoritarian design. The stage of power. Every rally looked perfectly organized. Every light was carefully positioned. Every banner hung with precision. Every camera angle was chosen for maximum impact. The audience was not simply watching an event. They were participating in a carefully directed performance. The leader always appeared larger than everyone else. The crowd moved together. They chanted together. They celebrated together. To an individual standing in that crowd, it felt as though the entire nation shared one voice. That feeling was intentionally created, but perhaps the most disturbing question remains: what happens when design becomes so powerful that people willingly surrender their own ability to think? The answer lies in the final chapter, where we explore how fear, obedience, and spectacle combine to create one of history's most effective systems of mass control. What if the most powerful prison had no walls, no locks, No chains, no guards, only ideas, repeated so often that people began to police themselves. That was the final stage of fascist design, designing obedience. By this point, the system no longer depended on constant force. It depended on habit. Children grew up surrounded by the same symbols. Schools repeated the same lessons. Public ceremonies celebrated the same ideals. The media reinforced the same narrative. Day after day, year after year, the message became part of everyday life. Many people no longer questioned it, not because they were forced to remain silent, but because the system had shaped the way they understood the world. This was the ultimate goal, not simply to control actions, but to influence perception itself. Why it worked? Why did these methods affect so many people? The answer is more complicated than many assume. People naturally seek certainty during times of crisis, economic collapse, political instability, national humiliation. In moments like these, simple answers can become incredibly attractive. Fascist movements offered certainty. They promised order instead of chaos, strength instead of weakness, unity instead of division. Their visual design reinforced those promises at every opportunity. Every building, every parade, every uniform, every symbol worked together to create the illusion of permanence and absolute control. The lessons of history. History is not important only because it tells us what happened. It matters because it teaches us how influence works. The techniques developed by authoritarian regimes did not disappear with the past. Modern advertising uses powerful visual identity. Political campaigns carefully design images and public events. Social media platforms compete for attention using color, emotion, repetition, and symbolism. The purpose is not the same, but the psychology behind visual influence remains remarkably powerful. That is why understanding history is so important. When people recognize these techniques, they are far less likely to be manipulated by them. Final conclusion. The story of fascist design is not a story about architecture alone. It is not only about uniforms, or flags, or propaganda. It is a story about the extraordinary power of visual communication. It reminds us that design can inspire, it can unite, it can educate. But in the wrong hands, it can also manipulate, intimidate, and control. History leaves us with one final question. The next time you see a perfectly crafted symbol, a massive public spectacle, or a message repeated everywhere, will you simply admire the design, or will you ask why it was created? Because sometimes, the most dangerous weapon is not the one you can see. It is the one that quietly shapes the way you think. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Which historical topic should we explore next? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching.